Hi, I'm Geetika Kodali, and you're listening to How's That, the cricket podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of How's That, the cricket podcast with me, Lily.
And me, Ollie.
So, not too much to talk about this week, is there? Bits and bobs, which we will cover. But now I thought we should, off the bat, clarify what's happened with our interviews. I think that's important to discuss. At the end of last week, we mentioned that we would be interviewing Jason Gillespie this week, but we've decided to push that back another week because the T20 Women's World Cup qualifiers are currently happening right now. So we did an interview with Geetika Kodali, who plays for USA, who is in that qualifiers right now. So we thought it'd just be a bit more relevant and a bit more on topic to put that interview out now while the World Cup qualifiers are still happening, because if we put it out next week, they're over. So it's not very relevant. So that's kind of the brief explanation of why we've swapped the interviews around. So yeah, Jason Gillespie will be next week, not this week. Apologies. But make sure you still tune into this episode and then next week as well, because like we said, just had a bit of a change around there. But other than that, do we want to start off with the World Cup qualifiers?
Yeah, I think that will make sense given off the back of the intro that we just had a nice little segue into actual cricket. So if you have a look at these qualifying matches, then Bangladesh have made it through Group A. Group A consisting of Bangladesh, Scotland, Ireland, and the United States of America. Bangladesh winning the first game of the qualifiers over Ireland by 14 runs. So that was a good start for them. Obviously, Ireland were probably the team that you expected to follow them, maybe in second place in the group, but they won that one by 14 runs, batting first, making 143 for 4. Ireland bowled out for 129 off 19.4 overs. Scotland and US then played each other. Scotland winning that one quite convincingly, batting first 130 for 5. USA in reply making only 51, bowled all out in the final over with 5 balls left in their innings. So a pretty convincing win for Scotland. And then Scotland played Bangladesh. Scotland bowled out for 77. This was the game that really broke it all open. Bangladesh getting there with 7 overs to spare, 78 for 4. So a pretty easy win for them there. And then Ireland beating the USA, chasing down the targets of 92 in 13.1 overs. Game still to play as we record this. The USA will play Bangladesh and Ireland will play Scotland in Group A. Group B, Zimbabwe have qualified top of that group. That group is Zimbabwe, Thailand, Papua New Guinea, and the United Arab Emirates. Thailand winning the first game by 7 wickets, chasing down the targets of 93 in 16.2 overs. Papua New Guinea then lost to Zimbabwe by 8 wickets in the second game in the group. The first for both of these two sides. Thailand then lost to Zimbabwe. They batted first to Thailand, making only 86 for 6 off 20 overs. Zimbabwe chasing that down with just over 3 overs to spare. And then Papua New Guinea batting first, setting a strong target of 148 for 6. United Arab Emirates only managing 119 for 8 off their 20 overs. Game still to play in this group. Papua New Guinea will play against Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates will play against Zimbabwe.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, really, isn't it? Because Bangladesh have already played in the World Cup, bearing in mind, in a few at that. So I feel like to have them in this against teams like the USA, not necessarily unfair, but you're not standing a good chance if you're one of these associate nations. So I'm still very unsure of how I make of it. Obviously, Bangladesh are the more experienced team in this state, so they were probably the team to go through. But I was really surprised by Scotland, to be honest. I thought they would have been up there purely because they've got some quite big names in there. Let's not forget Catherine and Sarah Bryce. Just didn't really do well in the game against Bangladesh. Catherine with 4 and Sarah with 14. But they've also got Abtaha Maksud, Rachel Slater, and Saskia Hawley from Australia as well. So really, really surprising. Honestly, expecting something a bit more from them. But yeah, that's the one that really shocked me.
I mean, it's tough when you're only playing 3 games, isn't it? Because you can't really afford to slip up. Obviously, Bangladesh haven't so far in their first 2 games in the group. Bangladesh will play against the United States. You'd expect them to win there. Ireland and Scotland will then play against each other, as was mentioned, to battle out likely for the second spot in the group. But obviously, as we've mentioned, Bangladesh and Zimbabwe have qualified to move on to the next stage of qualifiers. Obviously, we've got semi-finals to then play, and then the final. There's a third place playoff as well in there. There's some consolation playoffs, which is quite interesting. We've got like 5th place and 7th place playoffs, which is quite strange. But obviously, we wanted to win the qualifying tournament to qualify to the tournament proper, of course, which is quite soon, actually. Like, the amount of tournaments that we've had in a row is crazy. Of course, the ICC Women's T20 World Cup will take place in 2023 in South Africa. That's what all of these nations, want to be doing to get there. They wanted to be winning this and getting to the main tournament in South Africa. And, obviously, as we've mentioned, Bangladesh and Zimbabwe put themselves in a strong position to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll see what happens with those consolation playoffs, which, like you said, I think is pretty interesting.
So, of course, both groups will see 2 teams qualify. So Zimbabwe have taken up 1 spot in Group B. Bangladesh have taken 1 spot in Group A. The winner of Scotland and Ireland will advance to the semi-finals in Group A. And then Group B, it's quite wide open. Zimbabwe, obviously, 4 points. Thailand and Papua New Guinea on 2 each. And if you scroll down to the final game of that, or the final round, if you will, Papua New Guinea have got to play against Thailand. So much like in the first group, it's going to be winner takes all to move on to the semi-final stage. And then from there, there'll be 4 teams, and then we'll have semi-finals and finals. So if you make it to the final, you've already got a spot locked in for South Africa. You book your ticket on the plane. But I think it'd just be nice, obviously, to win the tournament, win the qualifying tournament, give yourself a bit of momentum, moving into next year. And obviously, if you lose the tournament, you still got the consolation prize of, still making the tournament proper.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think we can all have a guess at who's going through. I'd have a feeling it's Bangladesh and Zimbabwe, but you never know. Things could change. It's a bit hard.
Yeah, and just quickly, Scotland, Ireland, who's winning that for you?
Oh, I'm going to go with Scotland.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I think Scotland, it'll be a good game. I think it'll be close, but I think Scotland will win. Obviously, You mentioned a little bit earlier on about the firepower that they've got in their side. Thailand, Papua New Guinea, obviously the winner of this will also advance to the semi-finals.
That's really hard because they've both, done well. I'm going to go with Papua New Guinea purely because they've set higher scores than Thailand have.
I'm going to go Thailand just to be different.
Okay, fair enough.
So we'll see who's right. And then, of course, we've got semi-finals and finals to look forward to in that competition. But there's your T20 Women's World Cup qualifiers for the 2023 competition wrapped up.
Yeah. All right. So obviously we have talked about the first T20 between England and India. So moving on to the second T20, it was an Indian win, which was, all to play for when it came to the third match. But India winning by 8 wickets with 20 balls remaining. Standout performances from Smriti Mandana with 17-9 not out, and also Rana taking 3 wickets for 24 runs. But yeah, just not really too great from England, to be honest. The highest score from the England batting side with Freya Kemp, who made the highest score for England with 51 not out, followed by Maya Boucher with 34. Freya Kemp getting a 50. Pretty surprising to see that, to be honest. That was pretty amazing. Brand new to the England setup. So yeah, really, really good to see Freya Kemp, and it's unfortunate that it didn't drag the team over the line.
Yeah, and she came out to the middle in really trying circumstances, given that we were 48 for 4, just under 8 completed overs in. So she's coming in trying circumstances and batted really, really well. Just a shame that no one could go with her. It's a bit of an issue when you've got your top order, Severe Dunkley opening 5, Danny Wyatt 6, Alice Capsey 4. You're never going to win too many games with top 3 batters scoring 15 runs between them. It's not a good help. But it was great to see Maya Boucher and Freya Kemp, chip in. Yeah,
absolutely. So, like we said, all to play for when it came to the third T20, but England managed to win that one by 7 wickets with 10 balls remaining. which was good to see. England, like we said, back in the winning books after a hard Commonwealth Games. But yeah, this time it was pretty much roles reversed. India just couldn't get the scores going. High score, Richa Ghosh with 33 and Deepti Sharma with 24. So yeah, really not that great. But Sophie Eccleston, 3 wickets for 25. No surprise there. Sophie Eccleston. Sarah Glenn with 2 for 11. And then 1 wicket each between Bryony Smith, Freya Davies, and Izzy Wong. And then moving on to England, Sophia Dunkley with 49, Danny Wyatt 22, Alice Capsey 38, not out. And then Amy Jones 3 and Bryony Smith 13, not out. So yeah, pretty good performances from England across the board there. Like we said, don't know what happened between that second and third one, but whatever it is, I like to see it.
Yeah, certainly. It's the exact opposite of the second game in terms of England's batting lineup. We said in the second one that the top order couldn't get going. In the third one, the top order couldn't stop really. Sophia Dunkley with a really nice 49, 6 fours in there as well. Danny Wyatt with 22, Alice Capsey 38, and it really set up the win from there. We were never losing from there, given that the target was quite a paltry one really from India, 122. You'd expect England to chase that down, and we did it pretty comfortably in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on to the first of 3 ODIs between England and India. India winning this one, and again, England, not a good target that we set. It wasn't enough. 227 for 7. Danny Wyatt, really nice 43. Overshadowed slightly by ADR with a really nice 50. Sophie Eccleston chipping in with 31. Charlie Dean 24. So we had a lot of starts, but no one really, except ADR, really able to keep that going. And it would have been really nice to see, ADR have a bit more time maybe, because she could have gone on with that. She was not out at the end of the innings. So, a real shame that she didn't get more time at the wicket. And then Smriti Mandana, again, probably one of my favourite players in the women's game. She's unreal to watch. 91 she made off 99. And then from there, India were never really going to lose. Bhatia with a nice 50 and Harmanpreet Kaur with 74. So they had a lot of contributors and they won that one 3 down with 34 balls left. So an emphatic win in the first ODI. Of course, there's 2 more games to follow in that series.
You forgot to mention Kate Cross back in the wickets column, which is always good to see. Hasn't been in international cricket for a bit because obviously she doesn't play T20. So really good to see her take 2 wickets of Smriti Mandana and Shafali Verma, which I think was really good. A beauty of a catch by Charlie Dean, actually, to mention. Brilliant catch. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it on replay because that catch by Charlie Dean was really good. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with this ODI series. Not quite sure yet, but who do you think is going to win it?
I'm going to say India will hold out. When you win the first ODI of 3, chances are that you're probably going to take one of the next 2. I think in a series of 3, if you win the first one, you're always off to a good start. Of course, there's time for England. Hopefully they can take it to the 3rd ODI at Lords. If they can win this second one tomorrow as we record this, hopefully make it 1-1 and make it interesting for the 3rd one. But I think India will take it 2-1.
I can agree with you there. I do think it's going to go India's way, but you never know.
And just ever so quickly to round off, we're going to talk about the men's side of things for England. 7 T20s against Pakistan are on the way. It's the first time that England have gone to Pakistan, the men's side, since 2005, when we were both 1 year of age, I should say, which is, putting that into context is absolutely crazy. It's brilliant. First of all, sometimes cricket's more than a game, and I think this is one of those occasions. Pakistan, obviously haven't had too many countries come to Pakistan. They've had to play their home games, or home quote unquote, outside of Pakistan due to the things they've had go on there with wars and things. So to see cricket back in Pakistan is absolutely wonderful, and it's great to see England go over there.
Yeah, I think another crazy thing that you mentioned there is 7 T20s.
Yeah.
7, like
yes.
That's mental, I think, to play 7. Weird. I think it's really weird, but should be good, I guess. Something we haven't seen in quite some time. And the fact that it's all that format and it's not a change or anything like that, I think it's really strange. But if that's what they've decided to go with, then that's fine.
Oh, it makes sense. It makes sense because obviously we've got the men's T20 World Cup coming up very, very shortly in Australia. You know, we've got 10 T20s in a row before the tournament, 7 against Pakistan and then 3 against Australia before that tournament will get underway, or before the warm-up matches, I say, should get underway. We've got a couple of one warm-up against Pakistan. So we're playing Pakistan again. So we're playing 7 T20s against Pakistan, 3 against Australia, and then another against Pakistan before our tournament gets underway against Afghanistan, which I think is in Perth. Yeah, it is. It's in Perth. It's at Optus. So a lot of T20 cricket on the way for England. Today I've got my tickets booked for England-Australia MCG and also for the World Cup final. So I'm looking forward to this summer, and hopefully England can bring it home in the men's T20 World Cup.
Yeah, I think England just need to sleep before they go to the World Cup, because
You're not wrong.
7 games against Pakistan and then what did you say, like 3 or 4 against Australia? Ridiculous. Yeah. Just go home, spend some time with your family, have a nap, eat some food, and then go and play the warm-up matches. Like, do they really need it? Probably not. But, you know, who am I to say? The more cricket, the better in some eyes. So we'll go with that. But yeah, look, we'll see what happens in the World Cup. It's definitely going to be an interesting tournament. Tickets are really expensive, so I don't know if I'll be going. May go to one at Adelaide Oval, but like I said, I much more prefer going to watch the women's cricket, so I'll probably just be watching it from the TV. But yeah, I think we should move on to our interview.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So, like we said at the beginning, this week we spoke to Geetika Kodali. You didn't speak to her, but I did. So, yeah, I guess we'll just jump straight into it. So, enjoy the interview with Geetika Kodali.
Allowed to bring his legs. Kodali goes bang, bang. The 2 set players are gone. This is quite the intervention from the teenage American.
Welcome, and thank you very much for joining me today. So, whereabouts in the world are you at the moment, and what are you up to with your cricket career?
I'm in Abu Dhabi right now for the ICC T20 Women's Cricket Qualifiers. I'm representing the USA women's team, and just with my cricket this year, it's been an absolute dream for me. I feel like I've been exposed to sort of like a full-time cricket schedule for the first time, and it's just been such a busy year with like 3 USA U19 tournaments and then our domestic structure back home, along with the Fairbreak Global Invitational and the 60, the CPL, and then of course these qualifiers right now. So yeah. I've just been going from place to place, and it's been an absolute amazing experience for me to see what it's like being a full-time cricketer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really busy, hasn't it? It's like non-stop, just cricket. But you finished school, I believe. When was that, June?
Yeah, so I graduated high school in June, and now I'm a freshman at Wake Technical Community College, and I'm gonna actually graduate earlier than I expected, like to be graduating with the class ahead of me so that I have more time for cricket. But community college can help me stay in school while I'm on these tours.
Yeah. Obviously, now that you've finished high school, you have a lot more time for cricket. But what was it like before? So obviously balancing high school and trying to get that all finished while playing cricket. What was that like for you?
It was definitely challenging at first. I'm really fortunate because I have a really supportive cricket community. My school district really is in awe of me playing on the national women's cricket team, and they're always asking about where I'm going, how's it going. They always want me to succeed in school while being able to follow my dreams. So that's been really nice for me. I actually moved to North Carolina from California just to be in sort of a more relaxed schooling area where I can just get the best of both worlds and make sure I'm maintaining my education along with cricket.
Yeah. And now North Carolina, that's interesting. I mean, I've obviously traveled to California quite a bit, but, you know, that one's never been on my radar. So what's the cricket like over there? Because, you know, I wouldn't say USA as a whole isn't really known for its cricket, let alone North Carolina. So what's that like over there with cricket?
Yeah, I think North Carolina is definitely another hotspot of cricket in the US. We have one cricket league, Triangle Cricket League, and it basically serves most of North Carolina with like many different levels of competition. Like there's different adult league and as well as a youth program with U13, U15. It starts at U11, I think. but the support has been amazing. We also have our own women's part of the cricket league where they play hardball and tennis ball competitions throughout the year. And we have like a lot of facilities, access to an international ground called Church Street Park, which I live about 15 minutes from. So it's always nice to go out there and have a fielding session and dive and slide around. But I'd say that the cricket support in California and North Carolina is pretty similar, and they're both really supportive in terms of athletes following their dreams.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's actually really interesting to know, because I wouldn't have thought that initially. But I guess going right back to the very beginning of how it all started for you, how did you very first get into cricket?
I actually tried a lot of sports when I was growing up, and my parents would always encourage me to try everything at least once, get a feel for how it is, and then decide what I wanted to end up playing throughout my education. And I tried cricket when I was visiting my childhood best friend. We were selling our home and he had practice that day. He didn't want to go, but me being the sports enthusiast I made him go to practice, and he took me with him. And the coach happened to be the head coach of the women's cricket team in USA at that time. And so it just started from there. Like, I got to hit a few tennis balls, and he was just impressed with my hand-eye coordination. And from there, I just joined his academy and slowly developed my cricket.
Wow, that's amazing. So then from that, what is the pathway, I guess, in the US? Because in Australia, I'd say it's a lot more set up, possibly because it's been going for many, many years here. But do you have your club teams, and then how does that kind of work from that?
Yep. So there are definitely local leagues everywhere in every state almost, and like the youth play amongst each other and against other academies in the area. But now USA Cricket has developed their own women's domestic pathway, which is like how you normally would get into the national side for USA, both U19 and women's. So we have intra-regionals, which is anyone who is above 13-year-olds who signs up, they can just be playing on a team. And from there, they would pick the best 14 from that region to represent the next level. And it just goes up in a funnel until they finalize the 15 for the team, I guess.
Yeah. All right. That's really interesting. Now, you made your debut for USA quite young. You're 14, I think it might have been. Yeah. So what was that like for you? Because obviously, representing your country, that must have been quite a special moment.
It was really good to debut for my country at a young age. The support coming from my teammates, from the support staff, it was just amazing. It was definitely a nerve-wracking experience for me going out there, but I think my first match was probably against Canada, and we had actually already qualified for the global qualifiers. It was in the ICC Americas qualifiers, I think, that I debuted. And so there wasn't too much pressure in that situation. I think it was just a normal game for me. I bowled 3 overs, and I think I picked up a wicket. But just debuting at such a young age really gave me the exposure to how cricket was going to be like as I developed my own skills. And now I have a bigger role on the team, I would say. But that debut definitely never would leave me.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you said, you obviously do have a bit more of a prominent role within that team now, being vice captain of the USA team. But we will talk about that a little bit later on. But still, kind of around that, the USA team is quite young, actually, isn't it? It's quite a young team. I think a lot of the people can also play in the under-19s side as well. So in comparison to, I don't know, teams like Australia and England, who have much older experienced players, does that affect the USA team in any way, being quite young, or do you think that's a really positive aspect to have for the team, because you can stay together and progress higher and higher?
Yeah, I think it's a positive change in the team. Actually, everyone is so young, and everyone is like a sponge, ready to soak up all of the information they can learn and all of the experiences they have on these tours. And it's definitely going to set up our cricket for the next years to come. And you're right, a lot of the girls are on the U19 team as well. And they have also had experience and exposure to a lot of cricket this year, like me. And so I hope that we can take what we learned from these experienced like these tournaments playing against international teams like Thailand, Bangladesh, and Scotland and Ireland. And I hope we can put together a team that's going to go stronger throughout the years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So now still talking about getting into the sport, did you have any specific role models growing up within cricket?
My role models were Elise Perry. She represented Australia for both soccer and cricket. And, you know, I was in school trying to balance cricket and education. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. So it really motivated me to try and balance everything while I was growing up. And I also looked up to Shabnam Ismail and Josh Hazelwood as fast bowlers, I would always sit behind the TV while doing my homework and watch their spells. And it was just an awesome evening for me.
Yeah. And well, you obviously played with Shabnam Ismail in fair break. And, you know, if you guys make the World Cup, you could play possibly against Elise Perry. So to play with Shabnam Ismail in the fair break tournament, obviously looking up to her as a fast bowler, what was that like?
It was an absolutely amazing experience. I was able to share the field with many international superstars, but I specifically remember bowling to Stefani Taylor and Sune Luz, and Shabnam Ismail was actually guiding me at mid-on while I was bowling. And I ended up getting a few wickets, but it was absolutely amazing because she was telling me where to bowl, what they were doing, and how to go about setting up my overs and stuff like that. And it was nice getting that much advice from an experienced cricketer, and I'll take that with me forever.
Yeah, and as well as taking Stefani Taylor and Sune Luz as your 2 wickets against that team, you also took Georgia Redmayne and Mignon Dupree as well, which is 2 huge names still within the cricket world. So not only one from West Indies and one from South Africa, took an Australian and another South African as well. How did that impact your confidence within the fair break tournament?
It definitely boosted my confidence getting their wickets. They're definitely really experienced batters, and they've made it on the international stage. So getting them out was kind of like a reality check for me. Like, I felt like I was on the right track sort of, and I was progressing well with my cricket. And just the support that I got from my teammates at that level, it made me want to play it more. So now I crave to improve and just get more and more opportunities to bowl to them and hopefully bat against them.
Yeah. And I mean, well, it's that, isn't it? It's like, you know, if you can get them out in a tournament like this, then why can't you get them out while representing your country? So what was the one thing, if you had to narrow it down to one, it might be tricky, but what was the one thing you took from the fair break tournament? Because from watching it, obviously from here, it just seemed amazing to see all these experienced nations and associate nations come together and bring this tournament together. So what would be one thing that you would take?
It was definitely fun to see the differences in how the international players went about their game versus how I felt coming in. Like, there was differences in our warm-ups, in our music, and also always having a 45 or a third man was so new to me, because the batters at the next level, they always turn to the lap or the reverse sweep or scoop shots. And when I'm playing for my country against teams that are at the associate level, it's not really pulled out as much, and people normally try to play straight of the wicket. So it was just a new experience, and I was exposed to the next level of cricket. And so it totally changed the way that I set up my overs or that I bowled to certain types of batters from there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And if you had to, obviously, let's take Shabnam Ismail out of the equation, who would be your favorite teammate that you played with within the Sapphires?
I definitely also liked playing with Elise Villani. I think she's a very wise cricketer. She stepped in as captain a couple of times when Sana Mir couldn't be on the field, but just both Sana Mir and Elise Villani actually were great captains. They helped me get confident about my cricketing skills, and they just supported me so much on and off the field. And I feel like I learned so much more just about life in general.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you think this fair break tournament, in a way, shone a bit of a light on USA cricket? Because, you obviously taking these big wickets and a couple of other teammates as well played in the tournament. So do you think that maybe will hopefully made people sitting in Australia go, oh, look, these girls from USA play? And if so, how do you think that's worked in a positive way?
I think it works in a positive way because of how much of a spotlight it put on USA Cricket and other associate nations. A lot of the players from associate nations came up and they got the experience of bowling to experienced batters or facing experienced bowlers. And I think it just helped their confidence as well as it opened everyone's eyes up to how much talent there is around the world. Definitely other countries have access to more resources or they've been playing cricket for a longer amount of time, but just Fair Break showing that there's talent from all over the world and giving us an opportunity to bridge that gap between full member and associate member nations is just amazing. And it's a really good initiative from them.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, obviously there is one next year. So yeah, maybe even more USA players would be brilliant to see, I think. And I mean, as a team, you ended up 5th out of 6th. So even though you didn't get up into the finals or anything, what was it like to be around that team? And was it a really nice team to be a part of and a good team environment?
Yeah, it was definitely a good team environment. Everyone was so focused on helping each other grow as a player and a person. And we would have a lot of fun just singing to songs, dancing to songs in our locker room or off the field watching the other games. Although we weren't in the final, there was always hope for us. So we just tried our best every single game, and the results may not have came out in what we wanted them to be, but we definitely learned from the experience, and I'm sure we'll do better next time around.
Yeah, for sure. So now you captain the under-19 USA team, and before you traveled to the UAE, you had a series against the West Indies under-19. So what was that like for you and captaining this team that obviously went on to win it?
The series against the West Indies team was awesome. It was 5 T20 matches played in Florida, and a couple of them were actually under the lights. But one of the main parts about that tournament is we played in the same ground that the India men's team played against the West Indies team just a couple days before our tournament. And so we also got to go to those matches, or we stayed in the same hotel as the international players. So we would run into them on a daily basis. And the West Indies under-19 team was a great side, and we never played against another U19 team with such amazing fielding. So we had to quickly adapt to find new ways to score runs, as they did such a good job of building that pressure on the field. And so the series definitely helped us identify our strengths and weaknesses as the USA U19 team, but being able to come out with a 4-1 series win definitely helped us continue the momentum from the tournaments that we played before. We played a Rising Stars U19 tournament, and it's definitely it helped our confidence as a team. And I hope it'll translate to the U19 World Cup in January.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a really exciting time next January, isn't it? With the under-19 World Cup, a lot of the countries are starting to look at people and gather their teams together. So what are you looking forward to about the under-19 World Cup? Because that's going to be a pretty big event, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to just having another opportunity to go out there with my girls and just perform and support each other. But the groups were actually announced a couple of days ago, and the USA U19 team is going to be playing against Australia, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. So they're all definitely great teams. They're all countries with great cricket reputations so far. And so we're definitely going to look forward to that challenge, and we're going to hopefully come out on top and try our best.
Yeah. And if you had to say a team, what team would you most be looking forward to playing against? And is there any reasons as to why?
Definitely it would be Australia. I think a lot of the girls on the team with me right now, we look up to the Australian cricketers. I personally think that the Australia women's cricket team is the best cricket team right now, and they're doing just so amazing, setting the standards for girls coming up for the next years. And so we're definitely going to look forward to playing against them.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be a good competition, and really looking forward to that. So now you went and played in the women's CPL and I don't even know how to pronounce it, the 60 ball tournament. How do you pronounce it? Is it?
I think it's the 60 tournament. It's just 60.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So you obviously played in that as well. You made the grand final in the 60 tournament, but didn't win that one, but then won the CPL. So what was that like playing with that team and playing with some experienced cricketers in that tournament?
The 60 was a whole new experience for me. I haven't played much T10 cricket, and being on the field, bowling to strong, powerful players like Haley Matthews, Chamari Atapatu, like Chloe Tryon. They're all from different countries, and it was just so nerve-wracking at first because the batters are really coming at you in a T10 because they only have about 60 balls to score. So many of the players that I got to interact with were players that I looked up to. And like I said before, like I would always watch them while I was doing my homework at home. And on the first day of the 60s, standing on the field and watching Chloe Tryon absolutely launch the ball out of the stadium, it just inspired me. And it was just so awesome to see someone strong and good. And she showed us another level of what we can achieve. And it definitely helped us change our goals to where we want to be in the future.
Yeah, and well, in saying that, you said you obviously were watching Chloe Tryon hit sixes, and then she was your third wicket in the hat trick that you got, the first ever hat trick in that tournament. So what were your thoughts and feelings when you took those 3 wickets, and big ones as well, Haley Matthews, Brittany Cooper and Chloe Tryon? What was that like?
I was actually thrilled to like make an early breakthrough and contribute to my team in the tournaments. And when I entered the game to bowl, I didn't really like expect to be making history. It was just a routine coming in, getting my 2 overs in, and hopefully keeping it down to a low total so we could come out and win the game, because it was a must win in order for us to stay running for the finals. And just getting Chloe Tryon out and getting that hat trick was amazing. I couldn't have done it without the support of my teammates. Chloe Tryon tried to flick that ball down the leg, and Kaisia Knight was just phenomenal behind the stumps. I don't think I've ever seen a stumping as fast as that before. And I was just in awe when she did it. We were all just waiting for the replay to just cheer for that one again and again. And I think it really helped my confidence as a player. I'm glad it contributed to the team's win, and I'm glad that it set the tone for the rest of the tournament for us too, taking it all up to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, because it was obviously they had to review it, you had to stand around as a group and kind of be like, oh, was it out? Was it not out? Did that kind of like break it up a bit? And yeah, how was that?
I don't think it broke it up at all. I think we were celebrating before they even gave it out, because Kaisia was just so sure that it was a wicket. And it was actually my first time playing in a tournament with a review system. So I've never actually got to like look at the big screen and like look if it was out or not. But like we've been celebrating since she hit the stumps, and it was just good whether it was a wicket or not. I think it still helped our confidence that we were just so on top of everything. We were building pressure from every single ball.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. And it was, like you said, a brilliant bowling from you and a brilliant stumping behind the stumps there. But now, obviously, not winning the 60 tournament, but then winning the CPL. What was that like to win that tournament for you, and how did the team take it really in the inaugural season?
It was really nice to take home that CPL trophy. TKR is really focused around winning. We like to win a lot of games. We like to set the standards and just break the standards every single time we go out on the field. And it was actually my first ever champagne pop after winning a tournament, along with the many other firsts. But I'm definitely going to remember that tournament. I think I've learned a lot, and playing under Deandra Doughton was just so cool to me, like playing under the world boss for both the 60 and the CPL. It's something I'm going to take with me moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And also within that, there was a really nice video posted of you, and there was people getting photos with you and you signing autographs and all of that. That must be a pretty new thing for you as well. And, you know, now you're part of the generation where women's cricket is obviously really visible and televised and all of that. So is it crazy to you to think that in a couple of years' time there are going to be young girls who are looking up to you like you were looking up to Elise Perry?
Absolutely. It's totally crazy, and it's also nice at the same time. It's a great feeling when someone comes up to you and asks for an autograph. In fact, at first I was like, is there another player around me, when she came up to me and pulled out the ball? But I was so happy to see that they were enjoying watching me play cricket, and I loved that they were looking up to me the way I was looking up to my role models. And I'm just happy that the era that I'm playing in right now, I'm happy that I'm benefiting from those who played before me and for the opportunities that they fought for throughout their careers. So I hope I can create more for those girls that are looking up to me now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's lovely. And I'm sure you're obviously going to go on, and well, you've already broken down so many milestones and moments here. So many more to come, I'm sure, and many more autographs that you're going to be signing. So you are now also about to go on to the World Cup qualifiers. Now, what are you taking into this qualifiers? Because it is quite big, isn't it? The two teams who win are going to go into the 2023 World Cup in South Africa. So what are you as a team taking into these qualifiers?
I think we have a very good team coming into the qualifiers. Like we talked about before, it's a very young side, and everyone's just so happy that they can be a part of the USA side, represent their country, and just gain all of this exposure and make a lot of memories out of the country. So I'm glad that we have people that are willing to learn, that are willing to just go out there and support each other no matter what, no questions asked. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we can do on the field against Scotland, Ireland, and Bangladesh as we look to qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, and it's a bit strange because obviously Bangladesh have been in the World Cup before, and teams like Ireland and Scotland are, quite experienced because they've had lots of tournaments, and people from those teams have obviously played in tournaments like the Big Bash and the 100. So that must be a pretty exciting time for you, really, because you're going to be coming against some pretty good players and hopefully beating them to go to South Africa.
It's definitely very exciting. As a USA team, we always welcome a challenge, and just being able to play against Scotland, Ireland, Bangladesh, and the players that have got so much exposure with franchise cricket and international cricket, it's something that we look forward to, we accept, we want to learn from it. We also want to beat them. We want to come out on top. And it's just nice to see that we have a pathway that can help us improve as we go forward and hopefully go to the World Cup.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely rooting for you because I've wanted to see USA in the World Cup for quite some time. So that's going to be, really exciting, and hopefully you can make it to South Africa. But now, what would you say is the next step for USA women's cricket in order to just progress more or anything like that? What is the next step?
I think the next step to progress cricket in the USA is, like, in my opinion, it's franchise cricket. There's a lot of measures being put in place for the men in the US with major league and minor league cricket. And we also have youth zonals that are now being set up. And I would definitely like to see some opportunities like that open up for women as well. And so we could just get some more viewers. We can pull more girls into the sport and grow our national pool, because USA is a great place and there's a lot of resources that can support the growth of cricket really well.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Well, hopefully all of that happens and we get some more USA cricket.
Yep, any cricket is going to help us benefit, learn, and improve. Scotland, Ireland, Netherlands, like, we've been playing them when we came on tours to the ICC World Cup qualifiers, but just having a quadrangular series that can help us learn and set our goals, aside from being put on a stage where there's pressure to make the World Cup, that would also be really nice for us as preparation coming into these tours. So we would definitely never say no to more cricket in the US. And it's something that I would really look forward to if it could be put in place.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great to see it happen. So now, out of all the cricket you've done, which has happened quite rapidly over the past couple of months, what has been your cricket highlight?
My cricket highlight so far would have to be being the U19 USA Women's captain this year. Growing up, I played amongst the players that are on the team, and we've sort of become like a family. So they're like my second family away from home. And although we're so far away from each other, living in different parts of the country, I'm so proud for how far we've come and developed. It's hard with the geographical barriers of playing in the US, but our domestic pathway has done so much to bring us together. Beating the West Indies in the series was just a huge milestone for us. We consider the West Indies a full member cricketing nation. And just the fact that we got a chance to play against them in such a big stadium under the lights in the day It was awesome for us. It helped our confidence. And I would say that's my cricket highlight so far as a captain, but as an individual, it would definitely be taking that hat trick at the 60 tournament this year.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty hard to beat that, I'd say. That is a pretty special moment. Yeah, no, but that's wonderful. And now you mentioned obviously captain of the under-19 team. So now you have obviously gone up to being the vice captain of the USA team. And I mean, what, 18 you are? So that's still very young to be a vice captain of a national team. But what does that mean to you to be in that position?
It's a really great feeling to be in this position. I know that I have so much to learn, and I have so much room for improvement in both captaincy and as a player. And I'm happy that USA Cricket is taking its time to invest in developing me as a captain or as a leader for the country in cricket. And so I look forward to being the vice captain of the team. It just started, and I think that it's been going pretty well so far. Mm-hmm. And I love working with the girls and just learning from them as much as they're learning from me. So it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you know, like we said, bigger and better things I'm sure would happen in the future. But what are your goals for the future, whether that be personal or as a team?
Personally, I would definitely like to make a bigger name for myself while playing franchise cricket in other countries. I've always wanted to play in the WBBL and alongside Elise Perry and all of the other Australian cricketers that I look up to. So that's definitely a goal in the future for me, playing in franchise leagues like the WBBL, IPL, continuing to play in the CPL would be awesome. And as a team, I guess my goal would definitely be to lift the World Cup trophy, whether it's U19 or women's. I'd definitely love to lift it once.
Yeah, no, that'd be brilliant. And mentioning WBBL, obviously I'm from Adelaide, so you know, if you ever do get a call up, I'm hoping it's to the Strikers, because we'd love to have you. That'd be wonderful. But that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. All the best with the qualifiers. Like I said, fingers crossed that you'll be able to make it through. But yeah, I'm sure you'll do amazing, and we'll be watching.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to just ask questions. And thank you for just entertaining this.
Allowed to bring his legs. Kodali goes bang, bang. The two set players are gone. This is quite the intervention from the teenage American.
So that was the interview with Geetika Kodali. Really hope you enjoyed listening as usual. But yeah, I love hearing different players' stories, you know, within Australia and England, but to hear a completely different perspective of what playing cricket is like in the US as a girl, I think is really, really something else. What really surprised me was how she was born in California, lives in California, and then moves to North Carolina to progress her school in cricket. That was what threw me off a bit, because I was like, I didn't think they would play cricket over there, but she said they're a pretty big cricketing state. So that was probably my best taking from that interview. I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, another really enjoyable interview, and I hope everybody enjoyed listening to it. But next week, we will be joined with Jason Gillespie. Like we have said, apologies that it's been pushed along further down the line, but that will be with you next week. But in the meantime, you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at How's That TCP for the social medias, but YouTube is just our name, How's That the Cricket Podcast. And then you can send us an email at howsthatthecricketpodcast@gmail.com to also get in contact. But that is all from me this week.
But we hope you've enjoyed this interview, and we hope you enjoy the next week of cricket.